Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the full moon in Aries happening on October 9th, 2022 at 4:54 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time so that you can find out when this energy is active for you. A couple of announcements before we begin this particular twin flame update. Number one, Star School is coming. I'm very excited to announce that the programming for my signature Learn Astrology with Me course is returning sometime a little bit later in October. And you'll have the opportunity to learn your own chart and the chart of loved ones and better understand who they are and what they are, the way they are. You'll be able to better understand in the second course if you're a twin or having a divine counterpart connection, label not required. You can pick the label you want, but if you're activated by this type of love and want to learn more about these kind of connections, you can do that in the relationship course that I have, which is 5 classes. And then this year, I will be debuting a North Node course, which will allow you to better understand how to work with the nodes of the moon to bring your life into greater success and have more of what you want in this lifetime. I'm you don't have to buy all of them. You can just get one if you need. And I really look forward to sharing. If you are not already on my private list, I highly recommend, link is below this video, you get on it. I'm going to roll this out to the private list first with some special bonuses. And I would love for you to get those, assuming that you're on the private list. You will, because you'll be the first to know. Second thing is that there are some spaces available in my calendar next week and the following. We've got some really big planetary energy rolling through at the end of the year. We've got Mars retrograde, which takes place starting at the end of this month, energy active now, all the way through January 12th. And that Mars retrograde will impact a lot of people in some very significant ways, especially if you're a divine counterpart, because Mars governs the sign the divine counterparts are meeting up in. And there's a lot of personal work that is good for you to do now as we roll into the peak of the union window in January, and then fill in the rest of the union window, the remainder of 2023. Understanding how to work with that energy in your chart at this time will have you prepared for what to expect as you move into 2023. Secondly, we've got our final set of eclipses this year. One on October, I think it's 25th or 28th, the other one on November 8th, solar, then lunar. And these eclipses will be very impactful for those of you who are water signs, who are Scorpio or Taurus or Aquarius or Leo fixed signs, as well, as this will be the final 2 eclipses of this year in those 2 fixed signs, Taurus and Scorpio. So book with me over at K Moon Astro. We'll be able to talk about this energy before it hits so that you're fully prepared. We have time this week, time next week. I'd love to chat with you. Okay, let's get into this lunar update. I actually have a question for you. If you would put the answer in the comments, it's this: the channeled messages for 2022. I never published them. I just kind of sat on them. I've got them recorded, and normally I've put the channeled messages out before the year starts or just as the year is getting started. I had a real difficulty with that at the start of this year. I'm curious if you'd even want to hear them at this point, just to kind of put your year in perspective, or if you're kind of like, nah, just hit me up with 2023 when you're ready. I'd love to know what you think about that, the channeled messages for divine counterparts. I can publish that, or we can just move on to 2023. Let me know in the comment section. Okay, this full moon in Aries represents a turning point in the divine counterpart journey. This is the last full moon before we move into the counterparts kind of moving in forward motion. Actually, we have one more, the full moon in Taurus. And this is the divine masculine's full moon. Aries is the first masculine sign of the zodiac. And as the first masculine sign of the zodiac, we've got Mars, which is the ruler of this full moon in Gemini, preparing to turn retrograde. Gemini, being the sign of the twins, has a lot of choice energy filling up this full moon. A lot of, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Am I going forward? Am I going back? Curiosity energy, explorative energy. And I've been talking about Mars and Gemini extensively in the Lightworker energy updates. So if you've not been listening to those, please take the time to do that. Because while there hasn't been a lot to say about who the divine counterparts are talking to this year, Juno and Jupiter, the journey they've been on has been more of a light worker journey this year. And so the Lightworker energy updates have provided greater clarity for divine counterparts about what they're working on and where they're headed in connection than the twin updates have. Reading the twin updates or listening to them really only gives you a quarter of the full picture. And if you want to understand the work that you need to be doing for your connection to deepen, to grow, that information for you personally is always in the Lightworker energy update. This is just broad strokes energies in divine connections, not even that deep. So, for those of you who are really committed to, like, okay, let me get into this at a soul level, always listen to the Lightworker energy update. You will find that that provides you with a the deepest understanding of what's going on in your connection, even more so than this, especially at this full moon in Aries, because this full moon in Aries, here's the moon, is right opposite Venus in the sign of relationship. Venus represents a lot of our bonding energy. And there's so much happening in the world of relationship and connection at this full moon that I won't be breaking down in this video, but will be relevant to every connection. In this video, I just want to talk about what Juno and Jupiter, the divine counterparts, are doing, and some of the information that's flowing through about where divine counterpartships are moving and headed at this time. Again, high level, broad strokes, not going to pertain to you personally, but the Lightworker energy update will give you the nitty gritty for those of you who are ready to do the work. Okay, so turning point energy. The reason why this is a turning point at this full moon, this is a full moon in the sign that the counterparts will meet up at in January during a union window. So 2022 and 2023, this 2-year period of time is a union window. Divine counterparts only meet up in one sign every, I'd say, about 7-ish years, give or take. They meet up in one sign every 7-ish years. And when they meet up, a new cycle begins. There's a new beginning in divine counterpartships. And so this season, just before their meetup in January, has been a season that is allowing us to close out the last cycle, to be done with the way it was, and to move in to what it's going to be. There's a new chapter on deck in every connection at this time. This is a bit of a kind of a collective reset. This is probably the biggest collective reset in decades because Jupiter is moving into Aries, and I don't think they've met up in the sign of Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, in decades. If I have to go back and look, but it certainly has not been recently that they've met up in Aries. They've met up in other signs, but not Aries. And so what we're doing as a collective right now is laying divine counterpartship new foundation energy for divine counterparts who will come behind us. And so this season, this period of time, you're going to find, as the channeled messages have been coming in for 2023, there's going to be a lot more people who are having the experience of becoming aware that they are twins. There are going to be people who are thinking they are twins, who are not. As one of the channeled messages coming through, as the ascension energies escalate and people's spiritual gifts come online during the ascension process. And most of the ascension gifts, people really only talk about either you are in an ascension conversation, but if it's happening through a love connection, you tend to find something online about twin flames. And that, even though you may not be in a twin flame connection, with your ascension energy coming online, the clairsentience, the clairaudience, the capacity to more deeply spiritually feel other human beings, not just the human being that you're deeply connected to. All of those are ascension gifts, and they're our divine birthright as human beings on earth at this time. And so more people will be coming into that. Some of them will think they're having twin flame experiences and won't be twins. It is for us who kind of know who we are and what we're dealing with and what we're working with to not gatekeep that experience for them. It's not for us to say, you're not a twin, you're a twin, and to kind of be the judge of that. Let them have their experience with their gifts and find their way to their inner knowing and their truth, which is what the ascension experience is giving us all to begin with, is this opportunity to more deeply stand in our divine knowingness as part of our birthright as divine being incarnates. So all of that to say, this full moon in Aries is a very beginning, it's a seedling point to the peak of this union window energy, which occurs in January as the divine counterparts meet up in the sign of Aries. And that energy really starts to escalate and intensify now. Okay. So, turning point energy. I love it. There's a shift in the air in divine connections that is restoring pathways to union for many. It's been very roundabout and pathways to third dimensional union. I've had a lot of twins start talking to me about coming into union with a counterpart, coming together in some way. I've had other twins say that they've deepened their connection to themselves in a way this year that they have never done before. They understand who they are and who they are in love in a way that they've never understood before. And that's no accident. With Jupiter, the divine masculine energy, and Juno, the divine feminine energy, meeting up here at the 4th degree of Aries in January. And that energy can be felt 1 year on both sides, so 2022 and 2023. With them meeting up there, the Aries being the sign of the self, this union window energy is union with self energy. It's an opportunity to get integrated with the truth of who we really are. And that activation would have come through the last 7-year cycle of love here on planet Earth. Now we're moving into the next cycle, the new beginning. Okay. And so we're finally at the month where in divine connections, a new story, a different song is going to start to play out. And so I want you to be on the lookout for this in your own energy, in your connection. Where and how is there a turning point in your energy at this time? We have Juno, who represents the glue in our divine connection. She's the divine feminine energy. She's at the end of her retrograde journey. She'll get to that 7th degree of Pisces and then begin to move direct on 10/22/22 for those of you who are into numbers on October 22nd, 2022. And she's closing out a longer cycle of spiritual reattunement, reattunement to herself, to the divine, to life. She's closing out a cycle of spiritual reattunement that required her to release and forgive the past. Pisces is our sign of releasing and letting go, of healing old wounds in the connection. And she will have been, once she fully completes her journey in Pisces, she will have been here for 11 months. Note to those of you who are into numbers. Okay. I'm not into numbers in that way. I know nothing about numerology, but I know some of you will find that significant. Do with that information what you will. Now, hopefully, during this period of time, you've all found the therapists you've needed, worked the process, done your transformational work, because it's going to start feeling like things are moving again in connection after a long period of time of what may have felt like no movement. vibrationally in our connections, because she's been retrograde since July 24th, and Jupiter's been retrograde since just a little bit before that. I think she was in June. When the two counterparts go retrograde, it can feel like the connection moves into a period of either slowness or dormancy, where you, for those of you in separation, can feel like you can't feel the connection the way you used to. That's coming to an end this month in October. Those feelings will start to ramp back up again. There's always purpose to this. That dormancy gives us the opportunity to breathe and to integrate and to grow and to take the lessons and apply them in our lives, right? And when things ramp back up, it's for us to take what we've learned and begin the process of moving them forward in other areas of our life, not just the connection. So during a Juno retrograde, there can be a lot of inner work going on. Now, for those of you inside of the connection, for those of you who are in some sort of union state, you and your counterpart are talking fairly regularly, you're in a committed partnership of some form or fashion. What you're going to be doing during this time is recognizing what you need to let go of in order to move forward. And you've probably seen that somewhere in 2022. So you've been doing the healing, doing the spiritual work, doing the forgiveness, doing the therapy, doing the inner work, the shadow work that you've needed to do in order to allow the love to be present between you and your counterpart in the way it truly wants to express, without fear, without bondage to trauma and the past, without past life holdover, fully and truly in deep spiritual connection in the way that it was always designed to be. This year would have seen you, especially during the Juno retrograde, doing the work required to shed anything that stood in between you and the perfect expression of this love. Whatever that is, could be family stuff. I don't know what it is for you. We can always look at that inside of your chart if you want to do that. Could be mental constructs, limiting beliefs. I don't know. But what I do see here is that this was your time to get that work done. Now, for those of you who are not in union, who have been in no communication or some format of just separation and distance and minimal connection, this period of time with Juno and Jupiter retrograde, but specifically Juno retrograde, would have presented some heavy mirrors about what you bring to the connection that slows the progress. Pisces is our sign of the illusion, the fog. It's also our sign of mirrors. Pisces lets us see with spiritual eyes that which has been hidden from us in our blind spot. Okay. Most of this would have been a giant lesson in faith and inner work and forgiveness, faith and forgiveness. Faith that love wouldn't bring you this far to leave you. Faith that what you've been shown is what it is. Trusting your own intuition. Pisces governs our intuition. Faith that whatever your obstacles are, it doesn't change your outcome. So it's best to stay focused on your outcome and trust that the way forward will be revealed instead of focusing overmuch on the obstacles. And this would have been a big time for forgiveness. Again, Pisces is that sign of releasing, forgiving yourself and the other person for what they did or what you did and said when you or they were wounded, forgiving yourself and the other person for what was done and said before becoming fully conscious and aware of the connection, forgiving yourself and the other person for how you've treated the connection before you understood the truth of what love is and how love behaves, forgiving yourself and the other person for not having the tools to handle the bigness of this kind of love, forgiving yourself and the other person for not giving love the air it needs with vulnerability and transparency, forgiving yourself and the other person for not giving vulnerability what it needs with good boundaries so that you could remain having a soft, open heart. All in all, this is about forgiveness and faith. And truly, with Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac before we start a new cycle, it's about letting the past go. This is a season of canceling all debt so that you can move into the new cycle clean without expecting that the future will in some way make up for the pain of the past. Juno's going to get into Pisces in January. She's about to finish up her retrograde here this month and begin trudging forward to meet up with Jupiter inside of Aries and begin this brand new cycle. And the work has been about letting go so you can start this new cycle fresh. Okay. I did post a series on forgiveness. I think it was last month. You can find that 3-video playlist in the playlist section of my YouTube channel. If you're struggling with forgiveness, I'd have a listen to those and just see what shows up for you. There's also resources underneath every single one of those videos about how you can embark on your forgiveness process and make it actionable for you so that you're in a place where, again, you've canceled the debt, because the more you hold on to it, the more likely you are to repeat, because the universe loves to create balance. If you're holding on to the past, the universe will bring that past right back to you, the pain of it, the experience of it, so you can reclaim yourself and finally learn to let it go. Just let it go. Let it go now. Forgive it today so that you can start the new cycle as a new cycle, not as a repeat. Okay. And that's been the work of this season in our divine feminine energy fields. It doesn't matter what physical body you're in, we're in, or transitioning to. I'm not talking about genders here. I'm talking about energies. And we all have a divine feminine energy someplace in our energetic field this year where we've had to learn how to forgive and how to have faith. And that was the work of 2022. And we're coming to the close of that. I've been covering these kinds of themes very deeply at each Lightworker Energy Update. So if you knew how to work, so that you would know how to work with the energies, if there have been significant moments this year inside of your connection, but you've not watched the Lightworker Energy Updates, I strongly encourage you to date those moments. Then go back to the playlist for this year's Lightworker Energy Updates. Listen to the energy updates for those moments in time so that you can glean the lesson and let go of anything that's felt like a loss or a limitation or a challenge. Again, so that you can move forward in faith and peacefully and with love, that this is going to become something that is much bigger than you here on earth. Okay. You can also, if you prefer, book some time with me in my calendar. There's space available. We can wrap this up in about half hour, 45 minutes. What were your lessons of 2022? Let's get into it. Let's move forward so that you can have a clean slate, understand your union energy for 2023. You can book that below. Link to kmoonastro.com is where you do that. The new cycle is here, and I'm really thrilled about it. The march toward more perfected union energy opens. And this union in Aries, the sign of the self, is what's really allowing us to be in this energy, because as we create that integration of who we are, letting go of the past and who we no longer are anymore, as we can create that connection to ourselves, our life can unfold in more congruent ways. Okay. Now, Jupiter is about to retrograde. This is our divine masculine energy here. It's about to go back into Pisces. It's been retrograde since about June, July. It's been in the sign of Aries here. Now it's about to head back into Pisces before marching forward in Aries again at late November. Inside of Pisces, there will be a spiritual anchoring of the new beginning energy that's been flowing through our divine masculine energy fields. As the divine masculine energy moved ahead in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the sign about the self, and laid some foundation in an integration with self kind of way. So while one part of us has been releasing, letting go of the past, there's another part of us that's reaching for new, reaching for next, taking new next actions. Locate that within your life. Find where you've been doing new and next. Find where you've been releasing so that you can experience your own internal divine feminine and divine masculine energies moving you forward. Okay. Please consider how both energies show up in your life for a full picture of this. It's very limiting to think, well, I'm a divine feminine because I was born in a female body and was born with some ovaries, and so they're a divine masculine because they were born in a male body. It's second grade. We're beyond that collectively. We all have both energies, feminine and masculine. And this year, 2022, has been about integrating these energies together. Okay. Unless you've really only ever seen that you are meant to work in the polarity, and you would have been shown that. But know that polarity is division consciousness, it's separation. If you're anchoring in polarity and you're anchoring on a separation energy of only one or the other, you can't hold separation energy and also try to grasp union. You have to be in union energy to grasp union energy. So be paying attention for union energy through the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, and how that's playing out in your life, and the divine masculine energy and how that's also playing out in your life, so that you can anchor the integration, the union energy for yourself. Union within, union without. That's the way this works. Yeah, makes sense? So, Jupiter's foundation laying work could have been in a career area or a money direction or a project or a business direction or in a family or a home direction, finding a new home, finding yourself, single parenting for the first time or co-parenting for the first time and getting into who you are in that arena and what your needs and boundaries are, right? This integration with self that Jupiter's been doing, this new leaf, new beginning energy, is helping our inner divine masculine energy explore our true potential, really start to understand who we really are when we've anchored into love. And it's been working in Aries, a cardinal new beginning sign, to get that potential moving and bring the anchoring of that potential to the connection. So, wherever you've been trying to bring new energy into your life, because you and your divine counterpart are spiritually connected, you're bringing that new energy into the connection itself. There's an optimism here, and I love to see it. I can do itness with Mercury opposite Jupiter. And it's been opposite Jupiter for several lunations now, as Mercury's been retrograding. It's gone forward into Libra, backed up into Virgo, going forward into Libra again. There's some optimism here with Jupiter and Mercury opposite one another, a willingness to move forward, and a need to make sure that this new beginning is spiritually aligned, as Mercury retrograded and is now direct, and as Jupiter is still retrograding. There's a need to make sure that this is spiritually aligned as we back into Pisces with our divine masculine energy, because Pisces represents our spiritual connections. Now, there could be a need to tie up loose ends. I've spoken to a lot of clients that have one foot in a new territory and one foot in something old. Loving the divine counterpart, but still refusing to pull the plug on a marriage that died years ago. Wanting to move to a new city, but refusing to sell the home from where they used to be, wanting to start a new business but refusing to give up the hours because they're just too good at their current company, right? One foot in the new, one foot in the old. There's a real, with Jupiter having been in Aries, seen the movement, seen the promised land, seen what's new, the new cycle, but then retrograding back into Pisces, there's a real need to spiritually tie up loose ends. Okay. Um, and with the last cycle before November 23rd, because after November 23rd, Jupiter will begin to move retro or move direct. It'll go through Pisces and then wind up in Aries as we get to January, December, January. And so there's this kind of like, I got to wrap this up now. Like, this is just done. There's a real push, and I talk about why that is in the Lightworker energy update, why there's this internal sensation of needing to wrap things up right now. I've been talking about this for the last several Lightworker energy updates. Again, if you've only been listening to the twin updates, you've been missing the majority of the big picture here and your personal work. That pressure has been on for a reason. Please go back and listen to those. It will help you understand. If you don't have time and you just need somebody to bottom line it for you, you can always book a reading with me so we can look at where this pressure is occurring in your life and what the action is that you need to take and how to take it during the Mars retrograde in a way that doesn't have you ping ponging back and forth between the past and the future all the way through the first quarter of next year. Okay. Those of you who are sensitive to planetary energy movement will feel this shift of spiritually grounding themselves in a new energy in the connection and tying up loose ends at this time. And it could be just a little bit confusing communications or a lack of communication and connection at this time. I talk about why there's confusion and communication in the Lightworker energy update, both this one and the preceding one. But the chance to use this Aries full moon as the beginning and a launch pad into a new season is here. It is here. It is now. Because the divine counterparts are meeting in Aries, the sign where this full moon is taking place, with lots of closing out the old and turning toward the new, with a bit of inner work required to get there. Okay. And I talk about when there's clarity and when communication kind of comes back on in the Lightworker energy update. So if you're looking for the dates for that, have a listen there. Alternatively, you can understand your inner work between now and the end of the year. In a personal reading with me, you can book that over at kmoonastro.com. It is my pleasure and honor to do these lunar updates for you. Definitely let me know in the comment section if you would like to receive the publication of the 2022 channeled messages. Even though I didn't put them out at the beginning of the year, if you just would like to have that retrospective, let me know. But if you'd rather just have, it's already recorded and done. I just would need to upload it and hit publish. But if you'd rather just skip that and have the channeled messages for 2023, which are not done, those are still coming in, let me know. All right. I love you guys. Thanks so much for liking, watching, subscribing, and sharing. And I really look forward to our next lunar update where we get to do this all again. Take great care and bye for now.